Welcome back. Now we have an account set up, and we did a little bit of review on using the PSQL shell in our local environment. So next, let's dive in a little bit further into Supabase and its functionality. After a project successfully sets up, we will be at our project dashboard. So let's go and do a bit of a tour. First, let's take a look at the name of the project. I very creatively named it Testing Supabase. Our projects will be listed here within our organization workspace called Fund Deployment. Right now we have one project, and we can have a maximum of 2 active projects with a free plan. The keyword here is active, but there's a little trick around it. Nothing really stops you from pausing one project, creating another one, making it live, setting it up with an application, pausing another one, creating another one, making it live, and so on. And we will explore that a little bit later. Here we can take a look at our project status. By clicking here, we can see that everything is green. Green usually means all good, right? Our database is set up, REST endpoints are set up, storage for files is set up, and so on. What we are interested in right now, though, is our Postgres database and how to interact with that. So let's explore that. There are a couple ways of interacting with it. One is through the Supabase dashboard, which we have here, and one is through PSQL and our terminal. Not too different from what we were doing in the last video. So let's dive in and take a look. What is similar and what is different. In our dashboard, we have a table editor, and we have a SQL editor, database settings, authentication settings, and storage settings. This would be useful if we want to implement file uploads for any project, if any project further down the road. Once we will need to use image or audio storage, this will be your go-to. But let's take a peek at the table editor, open it up, and at the moment we have no tables. Since we just created the project, our database is completely blank, which makes sense. Also, at our disposal is a SQL editor. Here we can write some SQL queries, just like in our PSQL shell. They will be nicely insert into whatever. It will be nicely color coded and whatnot. And again, our database is blank, so that gives us absolutely nothing so far. Okay, since our database is empty, let's create some tables, seed some data into it. Again, a few approaches here, but I will be using my Craigslist file on my machine and connecting to our database hosted on Supabase through PSQL. Another way to do it is manually writing SQL queries here. But this is gonna take a long time because we don't want to write out these queries one by one, and I can show you how to automate a couple of things. Alright, so in order to use PSQL and connect to this hosted database, I am going to need a connection string for this particular database. This will look a little bit different than how we went into our Craigslist database on our local host. Let's review, take a look. Let's exit here, and if I just type in PSQL Craigslist, again, we are in our Craigslist database on our local database. We don't want to do that. We want to connect where? we want to connect to our Supabase database. So if I put in con info, you are connected to database Craigslist as your URI and running locally. All right, let's see how we can connect to our Supabase database. Let's go back here, and I will need to get the connection options from the project settings. Let's go and find project settings in our dashboard here. We'll open that up, and what we are interested in is configuration of the database. Let's open that up. Okay, there are multiple ways to connect to this database through URI, through PSQL, through other languages. We will be focusing on Python and later Node.js, so we'll take a look at that. We will need what? We will need the connection string and the relevant options. When I was typing in PSQL Craigslist, PSQL was inferring by default that I want to connect to my local database, which is named Craigslist. However, now I have to be specific and point PSQL to a specific host, which would be Supabase, a specific user, and a specific database. We will also need our database password. So let's see what we can grab here. And if I go into PSQL, we have the host, the username, the port, and all the good things. We can grab this connection string with all the options by clicking on it or manually inputting it into the terminal, but I want to save myself some sanity, so I am going to copy it, go back into my terminal, and I will run PSQL. Oops, it copied already the PSQL command, so I don't need to do it twice. And I'm running this with the following options. Let's make it a little bit human readable. Host is here, port 5432, database is called Postgres, and user is this fun string here. Let's press enter, and now the key here, Supabase is asking us for our database password. Remember when I said that our database password is different than our login password? This is the place to enter the database password. Now let me enter the wrong login password first, so we'll see what it shows us. And we'll think, and they'll say error, connection to a server because I entered a wrong password. That makes total sense. So let's go back and clear that up and do the following command again. And let's enter the correct password again. This will think, and now we are connected to the database hosted by Supabase. Let's see what we can get here with this function. All right, you see how this is a little different now. You're connected to database Postgres as user. This is our username for this database on this host at this address at port 5432 as SSL connection protocol, all the good things. So right now this is saying, okay, we are connected to a database hosted by Supabase. That's about it. Now that we can talk to this database, let's create some tables in it. Let's seed some data and recreate this Craigslist or small Craigslist database, which we created locally. So let's first list all of our tables. And no surprise here, it says did not find any relations because we don't have anything yet. We didn't create them, so let's circle back to the Craigslist SQL file that we have here. Let's open this up again and run the same thing. Let's run this file in this database and seed everything that's in here. Create all the relations, seed all the data. And let's run that. Cool. Create table, create table, create table, create table, insert. What you might have noticed is it's a little bit slower. There is some lag to it because this is connected remotely. This is not running on our local machine. If you have a very slow internet connection, it will be even slower. If your internet connection drops, well, it won't work because it needs proper internet connection to function. But now we have all of the tables here. Let's do a sanity check. Let's first clear this up and let's run the same command. And look, categories, posts, regions, users, that's all here. Let's do another sanity check. Let's select all users. And they're here as well. And let's select one user. And again, we gotta spell this very correctly. And we have that. So we can interact with our host database through PSQL. But we can also go into our Supabase dashboard within the project and explore our database using the Supabase GUI. So let's do that. Let's go back and let's open up here, and where will we find this? Of course, table editor. Let's have it load. Let's actually reload it. And we have categories table, we have post table, we have the regions table, and we have the users table. Cool. We're going through the GUI. Now we can also use the SQL editor here, and we can run the same commands here. We can run a command here, and the output will be here. So let's do the same thing. Click run, and we have the output here. We can then, now let's do one command at a time. Where full name, let's grab another full name. And we'll run that. And we have our output. Good. So we successfully set up our database, created tables, seeded some data. Now, if you wanted to access this particular database, all that you need is the connection string with the options and the password, basically what we put into our terminal here. Let's quit that and review. So if I would provide you with this connection string and you ran it in your own terminal, you can run that. And if I would provide you with my password, which I created, and you inputted that, you would also be able to connect to this database from your own machine. Because it's not on my machine, now it is hosted by Supabase. This is why the password should be for your eyes only. Ideally, the connection string as well, and probably the host name and whatnot, but the password definitely. This is very, very important. Good. Next, we will take a look at connecting a Flask application to Supabase, and I will see you there.